Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to try out some new dye colors from a company called Dalula Co. This is a new company to me. I haven't ever tried their dyes before, but Amanda, the owner, reached out and asked if I'd like to try some of her dye colors. She mixes these herself, and I believe she makes them especially for ice dyeing. She sent me 6 of her dyes. She packaged them in a poly mailer, and then each of the dyes is actually in a jar. I don't believe she sends them any other way other than jars. So I know some of the dye suppliers or the people who mix their dyes will put them in plastic baggies. I don't believe she does that. I believe she only sends them in jars. Then she had the jar, the top of the jar wrapped with a piece of tape so that the jar didn't leak, and then wrapped 3 jars together in some bubble wrap. So they were packaged very securely. After I get the dyes out of the package, I'm going to write the name of the dye color on top. And since I am already using a D to designate that the dye comes from Dharma, I'm going to do a DC on top of these jars for Dalula Co. That way, whenever I am looking at my jars on top of my shelving unit, I can see the color without having to look at the front of the jar. So I can just look from the top. It's also great when I do videoing, you can see the dye color. So the first thing that I do whenever I get new dye colors, especially dye colors intended for ice dyeing, is I make myself some color swatches. So that's what I'm going to do. I have some 100% cotton fabric, which I just purchased from a fabric store. I've cut it into smaller squares, and I am going to use my Sharpie, write the color name on the piece of fabric, and then I'm going to give it a quick soak in some soda ash solution and make my color swatches. Since these dyes were formulated for ice dyeing, I'm not going to use or make liquid dyed swatches. I'm only going to do ice dyed swatches. And I like to do dye over the top of the ice whenever I do swatches. I tend to be heavy-handed, and so if I place the dye under the ice, I'm probably just going to kind of have a solid color swatch. So whenever I place the dye over the top of the ice and try to not be as heavy-handed, I usually get to see the dye splits a little bit better. To make my swatches, I have a plastic tub or tote that I put a metal shelf down inside of the bottom. I've also used my silicone cake molds to make a barrier that I can place each swatch inside. I have my dyes lined up over to the left of my container in the order that I'm going to place my swatches down inside of the silicone cake molds. Now I'm going to place a few ice cubes on top of each swatch. Then I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of dye over the top of the ice. The colors that I'm going to use are Northern Lights, Undertow, Pink Sunset, Chocolate Cherries, Spiced Violet, and Shazam. By the way, these are 2-ounce containers of dye. Now I'm going to put an additional sprinkle of dry soda ash over the top of all the dye, and then I'm going to place this container aside and allow the ice to melt. After the ice melted, I placed the lid on top of the tub or tote and placed this container outside where it was nice and hot. I allowed the color swatches to process for probably about 12 to 18 hours out in the heat. The lid on top of the container helped keep the color swatches from drying out. That's kind of an issue with smaller color swatches, is because there's just not a lot of fabric, and once the ice melts, it's very easy for them to dry out quickly. I rinsed them like normal. I started in cold to rinse out the soda ash, warmed the water up to hot, and continued rinsing to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. I did give the color swatches a quick soak in some really hot water along with a little bit of Blue Dawn dish soap. Then, when the water was remaining almost clear, I put them in my washing machine along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent and washed them using a hot water cycle. Okay, so let's see what these new colors look like. Okay, so here are the first couple colors, Chocolate Cherries and Undertow, and I think both of those are really pretty colors. My Chocolate Cherry swatch is a little bit darker, kind of like a dark maroonish, purplish red. And you can see it has other color splits in it, like some grays. I see a little bit of orange in mine, some pink. So I think it's a really pretty color. The Undertow is more like blues and teals and greens. It's just a really pretty color too. The next two colors are Northern Lights and Spiced Violet. And the Northern Lights has got like a lot of dark magenta, purplish, blue, teal type tones, some pinks, just a variety of colors. The Spiced Violet is kind of a purple and coral, orangish type tone to it. It's really pretty too. I can see where both of these are, especially the Northern Lights, could be a really great color splitter. The Spiced Violet I think is fun because you have those orange tones paired with purple, which you normally don't see those two colors together. And, you know, it kind of has that rust and coral look to it too. I think they're both cool colors. So the final two colors are Pink Sunset and Shazam. And Pink Sunset is just kind of what it says. It's pink, and I see little hints of like a peachy type color, maybe an orange hue down in there. The Shazam, it is got, I mean, mine kind of turned out mainly purple, but I think it probably has some other color splits that didn't show up in my color swatch. And for this color, my color swatch turned out very different than the one that Amanda has out on her website. So, you know, that can happen with dyes made for ice dyeing. They don't always look exactly the same every time you use them. And of course, these are just very small color swatches. So what I've actually done is I've started using these colors by themselves on some ice-dyed shirts. I think the best way to see how the colors really work is to use them on a shirt. And when I pair them with other dyes, you don't exactly know what is, you know, the Dalula Company dye and what is the other dye. So I'm using them by themselves. I have 5 shirts completed, and I'm waiting on the 6th one to finish, and I'm working on the videos for those. So I'm planning on trying to start posting the videos for those shirts really soon. So far, I'm really happy with the dyes. I think they're really pretty colors, and I think they're good color splitters. Like most dyes, some of them split a little bit better and have a few more colors in them, but so far they're all really pretty. She also does have a couple of dye colors that I don't have, so you might check out her website. And it looks like she has a featured artist page out on her website as well, so if maybe you'd like to have a little bit of your tie-dye displayed. I'll leave a link down below in the description for this video to her website. And if you're wondering, Amanda is located in California, and she's also out on TikTok at Dalula Co. So if you have any questions about her dyes or anything else, you can contact her through her website or through her TikTok account. And of course, if you've enjoyed watching the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.